Appreciate that. Everyone, welcome to the Municipal Planning Commission, October 1st, 2025. Has been a year or two since our last meeting. In order. Do you have any changes to the agenda? Member Gulleton?
If there's no changes to the agenda, I will move we accept the agenda as presented.
By a show of anyone else? By a show of hands, all those in favor, unanimous, thank you. And way back, as I said, it's been a day or two, way back in May 7th, our minutes. Is there any items note there that we need to consider?
No.
Member Gullikson.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. I'll move that we accept the minutes as presented, even though I can't remember that far back. But
not seeing a lot of other lights on there, so all those in favor? See none opposed, thank you. Senior Development Officer Hill, it looks like we have one item before us this evening, a rear deck with variance on 58 Mackenzie Avenue. The floor is yours.
Thank you and good evening, MPC members. Okay, so we're here tonight to discuss the permitted use with a variance of a projection, which we call an uncovered deck at 58 Mackenzie Avenue. So the applicants applied for a development permit for a projection uncovered deck with a variance to the maximum parcel coverage. And a projection means a portion or part of a building or structure that extends horizontally above and beyond the foundation of the building or structure, including but not limited to decks, landings, verandas, etc. The property is zoned R1 residential detached district, and a detached dwelling with projections and decks is a permitted use. The property is located within the Mackenzie Ranch neighborhood, which is a newer neighborhood and still developing. The surrounding sites are also residential, and it backs onto a stormwater retention pond. Consultation was conducted with the neighborhood and 17 letters were mailed out, and one response in opposition was received, which is why we are here before the MPC today for a decision. And here's the summarized feedback. So the letter that we received stated that the existing house already blocks views and creates a lack of continuity in the line of other houses, and allowing an additional variance will only increase that problem. And the administrative response was the existing approved detached dwelling meets all of the setback requirements of the land use bylaw and was previously granted a parcel coverage variance for the front veranda and the initial rear deck. The proposed uncovered deck extension is only 0.6 meters, 2 feet high, and will not impact views. And the neighboring properties all have a direct view north to that public utility lot, which contains a storm retention pond. So here is a view of the rear of the house facing south, and it's currently under construction. And then standing in the backyard, looking north to that storm retention pond. And then if I was standing in the rear yard from approximately where the deck extension would be, that's looking east. And then again, standing approximately where that deck extension would be and looking west. So the MPC is authorized to consider and decide upon development permit applications requiring a variance of greater than 15%, which this application is. They're requesting a 19% variance. And then development permit applications for discretionary uses and any other application that the development officer refers to the MPC. So this proposed projection uncovered deck requires a variance greater than 15%, to which opposition was received from a neighboring landowner, and therefore we've referred it to the MPC. The proposal complies with the land use bylaw with respect to the zoning and the setbacks, but it does not comply with section 9.13.2 for the maximum parcel coverage. So in the R1 district, the maximum parcel coverage is 40%, which is 233.92 meters squared, and what's proposed is a total of 47%, so 278.93 meters squared. And that is a 19% variance that's required, so 45 meters squared. So basically, the area that's covered by the foundation, that meets the parcel coverage. But once we add on that front veranda and then the back deck, that's where we are going over the parcel coverage. So the actual foundation area meets, it's just the front and the rear setback, or rear deck. So administration supports the application as the proposal of the 0.6 meter, 2-foot high deck extension on the site is a minor exceedance of the parcel coverage and will not pose any undue hardship in the surrounding area. The site's location adjacent to the public utility lot, which contains a storm retention pond, combined with the full compliance with all required setbacks, ensures that there's adequate open space and access to light and air and green space around the dwelling. The site is appropriate for detached dwelling use as the surrounding uses are all residential and therefore they're compatible. And the development on this site would not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood, given that there's appropriate vehicle access, green space, and the height of the deck will not cause any overload. So decks are classified as projections in the land use bylaw, and as I said, the maximum parcel coverage is 40%. The applicant is proposing 47. So the total variance requested is 19%. And you can see if you're looking up at the picture there, the initial veranda at the top of the photo there was in line with the house, and then the dotted line is where the proposed extension is. The applicant was originally granted under development permit 61/250.096/25 on July 7th. And this has been included as Appendix B in your report package for the construction of a detached dwelling, which included a parcel coverage variance of 11.7%. So that was 27.48 meters squared. That was approved by myself as a development officer because it was less than 15%. And administration supported that minor variance because it was primarily due to the front veranda and the rear deck. And we do encourage in the land use bylaw front verandas because they contribute to the architectural character and the visual interest of the dwelling, and they mitigate any impact of blank facades. And in addition, decks and verandas provide a functional outdoor amenity space. So subsequently, the applicant has a purchaser for this home and they've requested a slightly larger deck. So they had to reapply, and then we start the variance process all over again. So the applicant applied for a 17.5 meters squared, that's 188 square feet extension to the rear deck, which required an additional variance. It is important to note, though, that the variances are assessed based on the parcel as a whole and what's being proposed at the time of each application. So we don't look at it as it was an 11% variance and what's the difference for the now new addition. We start all over again. So initially they were approved for a 44.78 parcel coverage. And then now with this new application, it's putting them at 44 or 47%. And this approach ensures that each development proposal is considered in its entirety and in the context of current planning regulations, site conditions, and impacts on the surrounding area. So in summary, administration has reviewed the application and considered the requirements of the land use bylaw. We visited the property and is of the opinion that the application should be approved for the following reason. So the minor exceedance of parcel coverage is not anticipated to pose any undue hardship. in the surrounding area and would not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood or materially interfere with or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of neighboring parcels of land. And the recommendation is resolved that the Municipal Planning Commission approve the development permit for a projection 17.5 meter squared uncovered deck extension with a variance to allow 47%, 278.93 meters squared parcel coverage proposed to be constructed at 58 Mackenzie Avenue. Okay, thank you, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you. Member Ross.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. I think this is very straightforward. Excellent job. And anyways, I'd like to so move that the Municipal Planning Commission approved the development permit for a projection, 17.5 meters squared uncovered deck extension with a variance to allow 47%, 270.93 meters squared parcel coverage proposed to the construction at 58 Mackenzie Avenue, Lot 19, Block 1, Plan 1420541, Zone Residential Detached District R1, with all of the conditions as stated.
Thank you. Member Contenti.
Yes, through Chair Creasy. Thank you for that. Just a question to Development Officer Hill. In the feedback, they're talking about more of a, the house already creates a lack of continuity in the line of other houses. Comment?
Through the chair to MPC members, the house does meet all of the required setbacks. So the rear yard setback for this house is 7.5 meters, and it does meet that. However, some of the houses along that street are different shapes and sizes. So this house being a bungalow takes up a slightly larger footprint. And then a couple of doors down, there's a 2-story. So that's got a slightly narrower footprint. So the back of that house would be further forward. This house is in line with the house to the east of it, and fairly close to the one on the west as well. But they do allow the setbacks to a variety as long as you're within the minimum 6-meter front yard, 7.5 meter rear yard.
Appreciate that.
Interesting you bring it up because I was wondering the same thing. I was wondering if we could just bring up the bird's eye view is on page 7 and just zoom in on that a little bit. So we can better understand or is that not available to see on the big screen? It had the stormwater retention pond and the lots. It looked like it was perhaps a Google Earth shot or something. Not available on screen. Okay. It would have been nice to have seen because I really struggle with this. It already blocks views and creates a lack of continuity. And as was stated, yes, it is different than other residences on the block. However, it does meet the front and rear setbacks.
Sorry, through the chair to MPC members, the second picture here, when you're kind of looking to the west, that is the row of houses. So that would be where the deck extension would end. So that back of the house, it is fairly in line with the other houses there.
Are you done?
Yes,
Sorry.
I am. It's interesting to see that view here because perhaps it varies from parcel immediately to the west, I believe that would be, but further down, it looks like to me it's pretty much in line with the majority of the block. So it makes it a little more difficult to appreciate the opposition. I mean, take these oppositions seriously. Somebody's taken the time to submit and actually is the reason for having this meeting. So take it seriously. For me, I don't find the opposition to be that well-founded. Member Contenti, you had something additional?
Yeah, through the chair, Creasy. Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. If you look west, that house footprint is back. Not as far deep into the lot, which is just typical. Some are 2 stories, some are high level, some are this, some are that. So you're gonna have a different footprint. But I can see if they're looking east, maybe that house is view, whatever east looks like, which is, I don't see it there. But so I can get a standing for why they said that, but the deck is not going to change anything. Thank you.
Member Hubert?
I was just curious, did this house have any, being put forward to have it longer? I know sometimes if the variance is off a little bit, they ask for more, like for the development. Did they put anything?
Through the chair to MPC members, no, the only variance that the house or even the decks ever required was just to the total parcel coverage. The siting of it meets all of the required setbacks of the land use bylaw. So that would be the distance from the rear property line to the foundation of the house.
Ask for
No.
additional stuff. I had no problem with that.
Member Gullikson?
Thank you, Chair Creasy. Just a quick question. There's no restriction on fences, right? Like they could, I noticed that fence next door is chain link, and that's probably for viewing, I would assume. That's why they put it in. But this individual could put a 6-foot high fence along that east side also, could they not?
Through the chair to MPC members, unless there is a restrictive covenant registered on the title, that may require a type of material like a chain link fence, but the city's land use bylaw would allow them to put up a 6-foot high wood fence, vinyl fence, chain link if they wanted. So the city's land use bylaw would allow for that.
Right, and the existing chain link fence that's there, they could be inside of that. I'm just thinking that it's kind of nice right now because they can look through, but
Mm.
soon enough, there could be a fence at the backyard blocking the view even more than anything that this would ever do.
Through the chair to MPC members, that's correct.
Yeah, thank you.
So Member Ross did put forward a motion for approval of this variance. Any additional input? Call the question then. All those in favor? I see none opposed. So in watching, our next MPC meeting is on October the 15th. You can put that in your calendars. And then Senior Development Officer Kirk, have you got a summary of some development permits that were issued since our last meeting?
Thank you, Chair Creasy. All right, so we do in fact have 18 permits to read. I'm not going to go through them all for you. The agenda package was distributed last week, so I'll open the floor. If anyone has questions about one, I'm happy to answer. But as a summary, all of these discretionary uses or permitted uses with variances have been approved because either no opposition was received and/or no appeals were received.
Comment?
Member Contendi, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Chair Creasy. Yeah, it looks like this is good. Can get a little better shape and also get another place for a massage. Good job.
I believe that concludes our business for today.
Make a motion to
Member Russ?
adjourn.
Appreciate that. It is 5:19. All those in favor of adjournment? Very good. We are in.